Hello, everyone. Welcome back to FPL Jedi Show. This is Gameweek 9 Deadline Stream. My name is Hafiz, and I would like to welcome my buddy Azmin to the stream. How are you?
I'm good, ready to rock. First, excited to have our first Friday night deadline stream. So finally, after 8 weeks now. So yep, looking forward to it.
I still recall. I think the last one that we had Friday deadline was in Game Week 1. Then after that, all through until Game Week 8 is on Saturday deadline, and we are lucky to have a Friday deadline, and we are here again to run through all the team news and pressure for this week.
Let's get to it.
So, plenty to discuss. We definitely want to touch about what happened to the Arsenal players, the likes of Saka, okay, and also the latest news on Spurs assets. Son Heung-min have been reported not fit, but we'll touch later on that because that's the transfer traffic for this week. So there's a lot of so-called news that we might not think that it will happen, but it happened this week, and a lot of transfer traffic that people will jump in for sure this week. Before we go to the team news, let's just quickly run through because we did not do any stream during the big week.
Oh, that's right, we did it.
Yep. So this is how Game Week 8 pan out. It is a horror show for sure for myself. At least 28 points, as you can see there. The average points was 36, and you managed to get slightly above the average, which is 41 points. So excellent job for you because you had the left of Salah, who returns, and then Manuel put that assist against Ipswich. So you got 41 points. How you feel your squad last week?
Yeah, I think I was. I guess I could say I was lucky because the transfer I made, which was from Watkins to Solanke, lost me more points. So it was very, very frustrating. But other than that, thank you for Salah for once again stepping up when he needed to. Well, most of the team failed. I do thank McNeil and Rogers for continuing to contribute. But I think there's in the end, I'm still quite disappointed with most of my team. So because they need to do a lot more.
Yep. And I think maybe some spoiler. Are you wildcarding this week, right?
Yep, I have wildcarded. So happy to share. We'll get to it. I have, of course, but of course, when you have wildcard, you also end up having dilemmas. So if you can help, I'd be happy to get some help from you guys watching as well.
Yeah, so basically that's how you actually did mention about your plan. You finally activated your wildcard in Game Week 9, and that's definitely timely for us who are suffering like myself, as fixture turned a bit difficult for Arsenal asset, which people are having like triple up. Like myself, as you can see, I have the likes of Gabriel Hafiz and Arsenal, and this week they face Liverpool, who then face some tricky fixture. I think Newcastle and Chelsea after that, which might deter people to move away from Arsenal players, and I feel that maybe could be your move. Later we touch on your team. But for myself, you can see the trouble right now, especially on Saka, who did not play last week, and Semenyo just came in for 2 points. As you can see from my team, only Rogers deliver 6 points. The rest are blank. Okay, were blank last week. Haaland even blank with 2 points only. So 2 points all over the places. As you can see, 2-pointer, 1-pointer. Definitely disappointed about Diaz bench and coming in for 1-pointer only against Chelsea, where I do expect him to play, but it is an issue now. And if I'm right, in Championship also he did not start, right? So that could be I think that maybe it is time to move him on. And then other than that, even Flecken did not have a clean sheet, but at least I got that 2 save point from him. So I think that's the first time he produced that. And at 4.5, what else you can expect? It's better than David Raya, who did not have a clean sheet yet again.
Mm.
So I the team in 28 points, and I have free transfer, and I will definitely do my move this week.
Yep. Yeah. The it's a lot of, once again, a lot of, where last week was about Saka, and then now we don't know he was ready. And once again, we have about the same dilemma: is Saka there? So let's check out the team news later.
All right. Would like to welcome to the stream Brandon Ong, Hi Boss, and Buddha FPL also. Good luck, guys. Thank you all for joining this stream. All right. What else, man? Let's go jump into Game Week 9 fixture. Why we are doing Friday deadline is because Leicester and Forest will kick off early, 3 a.m. match Malaysian time. So Leicester and Forest, if you have Woods, if you have Vardy, this is the match that you are really looking to, especially on Friday night. And then on Saturday, we have 4 matches at 10 p.m. All play at the same time. Aston Villa versus Bournemouth, Brentford versus Ipswich. So-called on paper, we expect Brentford to score big against Ipswich. Brighton also facing Wolves, who both can play an open game, and this could be a high-scoring game. And another high-pointer game, people expect Man City against Southampton, and people already thinking to triple captain Haaland. Maybe later we touch on that, if that could be the move that people should make this week. Also on Saturday midnight, Everton versus Fulham. And on Sunday, we have 3 matches: Chelsea, Newcastle, Crystal Palace and Spurs, London Derby, and West Ham versus Manchester United at 10 p.m. And we close off Game Week 9 with a big one, man. Arsenal versus Liverpool. So that's really looking good and enticing for the fixture for Game Week 9. Quickly, before we jump into the team news, which fixture you're really looking forward to?
So obviously, the Man City Southampton match seems like a bit of a money ball. But of course, the match that I'm looking forward to the most has got to be Liverpool versus Arsenal. So really, really interesting to see that. And the only thing that mars this match a bit is the fact that Arsenal might not be full strength.
Okay.
So but of course that just puts a little bit more pressure on Liverpool to make sure they come out with a win, because in theory you could argue that Liverpool have the advantage. So yeah.
All right. Good things. We already covered all the team news. Let's jump first, Min, to Leicester versus Forest. What's been Steve Cooper and Nuno been saying about their team?
Right. So for Leicester, it's pretty much not big a deal. So Leicester have now recorded 2 wins in a row, if I remember correctly. So Leicester, they managed to defeat Bournemouth, and they also managed to come back against Southampton in a 3-2 thriller. Although you got to argue that Southampton kind of imploded themselves. Yeah. So otherwise, it's pretty much the roughly the same team. I would like to point out, however, that we got to look at, if you haven't looked at already, Buonanotte. He could really be one of the guys to watch. And for those of you who are looking for an extra person in midfield, that might be your go-to. Okay, so Forest, Morgan Gibbs-White is also out, but so definitely he's not gonna make it. But GWP does return from suspension, but I'm not sure if whether or not Nuno will want to disrupt the winning team. Chris Wood, in the absence of Morgan Gibbs-White, Chris Wood will take the penalties. So those of you who have him, you gotta love Chris Wood at the moment. He's just steady delivering for those of you who have him. And of course, Sells, who's turning out to be one of the stronger keepers, getting points, and in due to how Nottingham Forest are actually set up, So it'll be interesting to see this match, because one thing going for Leicester that is against Sals is the fact that Leicester are the only team. Well, no, they're not the only team. One of the few teams, aside from Manchester City and I think it was Arsenal, who have scored in every match this season. So that is why. And now that Leicester are playing at home, so you would expect them to score as well.
Right. You did mention about Stell's 11 point. I did not realize that, and I can see he had 3 bonus point. 2
Cells?
save. Yeah.
Yeah, 11. Yeah. So in a match where there was few, not that many, because it was a 1-0 win. Yeah.
Right.
So Cells really pulled it off there for those who have him.
Yep. 4.5 million. Really nice to ever have him. And
really nice.
Yeah. Any Nottingham Forest defense, right? The cheap one, 4.5 million. I can imagine that. And if you have Chris Wood, I can recall Hafiz, who I think he has Chris Wood from the beginning. 6.3 million now, so he's still not expensive. You
Still
could actually jump to them. So maybe he's someone that you're eyeing in your wildcard. Maybe later we will see. All right, let's go to the next one, which is Villa versus Bournemouth. Aston Villa really on fire, man.
Is on. Yeah, so on fire and also good and fit and healthy. Okay, one thing to note that if you remember, Aston Villa actually had a Champions League match in midweek, but who is that guy? Duran started and Watkins didn't. Watkins came on in a sub. Aston Villa still managed to win the match regardless. So it's really good looking for Aston Villa at the moment. So those of you who have Watkins, and even Rodgers, and even looking at the defense, because Konza, who missed out last weekend, but he should start this time around. So
he returns in the Champions League.
Yeah, he returned in the Champions League match. But of course, we do have people playing Kamara and Tyrone Mings coming back, so that may be a threat to minutes, because I don't think they will start immediately, but it does help Emery and could give you a benching headache later on. For Bournemouth, no real difference except for Alex Scott. So those of you who have Semenyo, you wouldn't worry. That's definitely, he's still matched. And one thing with Aston Villa is they just keep on conceding. So that's something to think of. I know that Semenyo a lot when people wildcarded in game week 6. The idea was that Semenyo will be benched for this, but you might want to consider not benching him for this one, because I think Bournemouth have the quality and they could actually score.
Yeah, pretty nice. Imagine, man, if you still have Watkins last week, he actually got 8 points, and you could easily be happy to play him this week because he's been rested in Champions League. A nice option up front if you're still thinking about Watkins. I'm still pondering whether Watkins could be one of my transfer this week.
Yeah, right. It really. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Like me. Okay. Next game, man. Brentford versus Ipswich. On paper, Brentford should win this game, and we can see the likes of Visa returning to the team last week. So, what's been the managers been saying, man?
So it's really looking good for Brentford at the moment. Although their results, to be fair, have been mixed. But in terms of the squad, it looks like there's some of them are returning into injury, and also we saw Wissa coming back last weekend, and it looks good. And Wissa will he's being tipped as a possible starter for this week, and someone that I think a lot of people would like, especially if they already have Mbeumo and don't need, want to or don't have Mbeumo but would like to take advantage of this matchup. So because on the Ipswich side, it is a problem because you got Greaves is now injured as well. Ben Johnson's injured, Axel Tuanzebe injured, So there is a lot of disruption with the Ipswich match. And although, those of us who Davis, I had Davis, but it's not looking good for this match. So you think that Brentford are going to win significantly this point, and to the point that some of I've looked in Twitter out there that some people are actually going to captain Mbeumo as a possible alternative option to Haaland.
Yep. I think it's not a bad shout. And as you can see, Ipswich depleted at the back. Tonzeby, Johnson, even Greaves are absent from the team. And I think this looks really, really good in terms of Brentford perspective. If you have, of you thinking whether we saw Mbomo definitely, okay, and we have any Brentford defense like Collins, Pinnock, they could actually return in this game. So I think that's really good for Brentford perspective. And Min, you have Davis. I'm not sure about your wildcard later, Itash. If you have Davis, you just try to play him in this game, right?
If I had Davis in this game, yeah, I think I might play, because the thing with because Davis is a bit like Robinson, although he hasn't really come to fruition just yet. And that's, you're really not expecting much in terms of clean sheets. You are looking for attacking returns.
Yeah. Uda FPL mentioned, I think Wisa gonna hold, but I think the biggest question, will he start? Right.
I think he will.
Okay. Next game, Brighton versus Wolves. We understand last week Welbeck was stretched off in the game despite he's actually scoring the game. So, and also Wolves are really desperate because they so-called being getting unfair from the goal were rewarded for Man City. So I think mixed feeling for both teams. So what's the latest news?
Right. So for Brighton, it's quite arguably their most valuable player this season, Welbeck, is after he got injured and it becomes a problem now. So will he be ready? He apparently he did train on starting on Thursday, but I don't know if it will be enough given the injury that he had. So I'm not quite confident that he will be ready for this one. Having said that, Brighton does have enough squad to actually make up the numbers, but if how it may impact the squad in terms of fluidity will be something to look at. So Rutter and Ferguson, you'd expect them to start. Minte is also a doubt. So but again, you have Mitoma there and you have Adingra there, so it's not a big deal. The thing with Brighton is that their defense has always looked a bit dodgy to me. So although they managed to keep a clean sheet last week against Newcastle, was it? Yeah. So but I can't see them not keeping a clean sheet. So on the plus side, you have Wolves. So now Johnston has trained quite a bit this week, according to the Wolves boss. But we did see how Jose Sa did really well against City, being given a chance. Although we don't know whether or not he will end up replacing. We don't know. The Wolves boss says he is quite clear on which goalkeeper will start. Having said that, he didn't actually say who. So the other thing is, it's quite important simply for the fact that Wolves are about to embark on a really good stretch of fixtures all the way until Christmas. I think we've been talking about it on Twitter. There's been a lot of conversation because now that after the City match, it's looking really good. So a lot of players are being considered, whether it's Ryan Alt-Nouri, Matthews Cunha, or even Strand Larsen. So it's I like the look of those matches, and even Jose Sa, but again we'll have to look at that goalkeeper situation.
I mean, if you're actually bringing Wolves asset this week, like you mentioned, Nouri or any Cunha or Stratson, you should play even though away to Brighton, right?
Yeah. So this is the part that's are Brighton, because they are against Wolves. Wolves are against Brighton, quite decent, but I think you have to play because Wolves will want to start winning from here on in. There's no more excuse, and they got really unlucky last week, right at the end. So I think the Wolves are going to use that as a impetus to push them on and start picking up a lot more points.
Interesting. Brandon mentioned about maybe time Ferguson. I quickly see the Predator lineup in Fantasy Football Score. I can see Ferguson on the starting lineup, so maybe he could start, but it's still a risk, right?
Yeah, he could, but it's just a shame that from the few seasons ago he was being tipped as the next Erling Haaland, but injuries have derailed him a bit. Yeah, so we don't know yet. We'll have to check it out later.
Next game in, the big one, especially if looking at FPL points, Man City versus Southampton. There are some injury situation in Man City, especially what's the latest news?
So that summary is pretty much it. All those people are out. Of course, Bob was at the start of the season, but Rodri, KDB, Grealish, Walker, all who are, you could argue, are quite important to the City cause, are all out. So you have to wonder the amount of disruption that is causing. Although, to be fair, they did win midweek, but now with Grealish and Doku have also fallen casualties. So you got to figure out, surely Foden will start. The midfield has already been depleted.
It's a big word, surely. It's a big word, man, surely.
It's for Pep, it's par for the course, but we have to, but the problem with City, even though it is a great matchup, is the fact that there's been a lot of disruption to the lineup. And for once, it's not because Pep is disrupting it intentionally. It's because he's being forced. So you would think that the likes of Bernardo Silva and Foden are surely shoe-ins to the lineup, including Gundogan. Yeah. So, I don't know if Stones will actually make a break for it and join in as well. And, I think Stones seems to be relishing being played as a striker. But so the question now is with Southampton. Okay, so Southampton just Sugawara facing a late fitness test. But the biggest question with Southampton is simply the fact that, are Southampton gonna copy Wolves and Newcastle from playbook in terms of restricting City? So it looks like they could, but I did say last week I wasn't sure Wolves had the personnel to do that, and somehow Wolves did manage to do it when just got unlucky. But for Southampton, I'm gonna say the same thing, and I just don't think they have the personnel to stop City. So, and I do think Haaland will break his mini drought in this match, because I'm not confident with Southampton's being able to do the same in terms of locking down Haaland.
Yep. We touch a bit because Brandon is asked whether it's time to clear Captain Haaland. We have a topic later, a section discussing on captaincy. All right, good stuff. Man City, Southampton. Foden are expected to start in the Predator lineup. So despite no Doku and also Grealish, the likes of Savio and also Matheus Nunes, who did well in Champions League midweek, which is and he actually took the penalty when Haaland is not around, and despite Foden on the pitch, Nunes has the upper hand in terms of scoring. So
yeah.
Next game in Everton versus Fulham. Everton on the rise. I think back-to-back win against Ipswich last week. Fulham quite disappointing, lost 1-3 at home against Villa. Could this be their bounce back? So what's the latest news?
So biggest news available is that Brantwaite is ready. So the question is, does that mean Keane, who actually scored last week, will be benched this time? So I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see, because Everton did record a clean sheet last time out. So the picks with you for people who have McNeil will be really happy, and people who have Michael Lenko is ready. The question is, people
have DCL may not be happy.
Yeah, the only problem is DCL. How much time are you gonna give him? Because to be fair, the fixtures are still looking decent. But I don't think this Fulham matchup is considered a decent matchup. But you could argue the fact that Anderson is injured. He's suspended. But if you look at the start of the season, when Anderson wasn't even, was slowly being integrated in Fulham, or hadn't even joined Fulham yet, Fulham was still solid. So I don't think this is as great a matchup for Everton as it could be, and it could actually be quite a tough one. I do think Everton will win, but Fulham are going to make it hard.
Yeah, I think this will be a close one, but Everton at home, they can be a really stubborn side. If they keep their plan well, I think they could actually win this game. But the predicted score in BBC is actually a draw. So
So in terms of, I did mention Fulham. So Raul Jimenez, ever since he replaced Muniz, who people like me had, and after we sell it, then Jimenez has really stepped up, and he looks like the guy from a few seasons ago back at Wolves, I think it was, where he was just slowly weekly just ticking away and getting points. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. And he's still a good option, really cheap, under 6K,
yeah,
if you need him. So yeah.
yeah, I'm interested in him definitely, and I wouldn't be surprised if he could actually come in. He's still below 10% ownership me at
Yep.
5.7 million, and he had scored for the past 5 game week since he started against West Ham, if I'm right. So what not to like, right? But Rahul Jimenez. All right, next game in Chelsea versus Newcastle. Despite Chelsea lost to Liverpool last week, they put up a good show. But how about against Newcastle away, which can be a tricky match? So what's latest for both teams?
Right. So Chelsea won, of course, in midweek as well. For me, the most important thing is James is clearly considered the Premier League player, and he was rested in midweek. Of course, he was rested in midweek. Otherwise, that'd be it. But James, Gusto, Jackson, Casido, so all these are quite important players for where the Premier League is concerned. And you've got Fofana and Cucurella returning from
Cucurella.
suspension. So Chelsea is looking good. But to be fair, Newcastle were looking good as well. They managed to nullify City 2 weeks back, and last week they just
Lost
lost by
1-0.
one goal because Isaac, who is also back, but he's back, but his shooting boots aren't back yet. So it'll be interesting, this matchup. There's no serious absences either. I think there's a lot of talk about bringing in Palmer this week, and I don't blame them because Newcastle looks like it's a winnable matchup, followed by United next week. Yeah, but yeah, this could be one of the matches to watch, especially for those who are looking at Chelsea and wanting to see whether we want to bring in more of the assets sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think people talking about the premier asset in midfield. We touch on Saka and Son. If those are the players that people looking at, Palmer, no European competition involvement like you mentioned before this mean
Yep.
he really the one that people get, and he also can be really explosive on his day, which that could remind everyone, especially got that 25 points few weeks back.
Yep.
All right, Crystal Palace versus Spurs. I think this is the big news from Ange Postecoglou about Suns. So what's been their sharing?
So yeah, no changes in the Eagles situation. Not that it matters. The fact on the bottom is, but the fact of the matter is that Crystal Palace aren't doing well at all at the moment. Adam Wharton, who is clearly really important for the team, so he's going to continue to play before he does his surgery. So now it'd be a case of what does Glasner do to try to change things up. So this is a London derby. Eze still hasn't found the target yet. I think it's just still one goal since the start of the season. So it could be an interesting matchup. But moving on to Spurs, so the problem now is that Son, who plenty of people who had sold Saka to bring him Son last week, and they did manage to get 8 points. Unfortunately, now it looks like they're not gonna have him for this week. So a bit of bad luck there. So other than that, everyone's fine. So you would expect, the hapless Werner could move in there. But Werner's not the best player, to be fair. So but those of you who have Solanke, I think we want Solanke to actually step up. He hasn't stepped up yet. He's in the system. Spurs have been winning. It's just that he hasn't been getting enough FPL points. Yeah, but Johnson, who did blank last week, but then his stats showed he still did really well. 5 shots in the box again. So he really looks like he's always coming in, to the box to look to score goals.
I think who managed to get Son last week, if you want to recall last week, where he's been awarded assist for that own goal, rather than being pulled back and end up with 8 points, right? I mean, I think Afos did bring Son into his team. He got the 8 points. Now he have to think what he should do with this situation. So maybe, mate, we are not, we like us, we do not own Son.
Yep.
But if let's say we own Son and we stuck in this situation, what we'll do? Do we move him on because we are not sure what will happen next week, right? For Son.
Yeah, it really is just about your bench. If your bench is strong enough, then you might be tempted to hold on to Son and use your bench, because the information from Anjay Postecoglou indicates that it's not a serious injury, so it just might be 1 week that he's away. So, but so if you feel comfortable with your bench, then maybe you don't want to sell him just yet. Yeah, the only reason you will sell is, again, if you're looking to bring in the likes of Palmer. But if you feel like you can wait, then yeah, you can still keep Son for this week. If you want to bring in Palmer in game week, I think it was 12, yeah, then you can still keep Son.
Yeah, I think so. My first feeling, if let's say I have Son now, and if you have players to come in, maybe let him see how it goes next week, because they still have some decent fixture coming up. I think if I'm right, Eastwich coming in 11, who potentially he could be a nice captaincy pick for that week. So maybe it's logical to just keep him this week and then see how it goes next week. If let's say he's still down next week, maybe you can move him on. But since you already bought him last week, maybe you just held him, because who knows, right? Unlikely doesn't mean that he might not play, right? Because the match is on Sunday, so who knows, right?
Yep.
Next game in West Ham versus Manchester United. West Ham being disappointing. They also won points. Manchester United also in limbo, but they did manage win against Brentford last week. So what's the latest news for both managers?
I'm really scuttling about Kudus right now. So now he's got this violent conduct thing, and he did have problems during the internationals as well. So there's a lot of issues with his temperament at the moment. So now and it's really frustrating for the manager, because they're at a point where I think they really need all the players. So having this kind of thing is a problem. But other than that, with Fulkrug, their purchase from the season still out, so which is another real frustrating issue. So now it's just a case of them finding the right combination. Manchester United, they're looking good. I don't think they have any real issues. Just check. Yeah. So no real changes, except from the fact that Shaw, is still out. Anthony is still out. So, but it's just a case of how they line up. So Holland and Garnacho and Rashford with Bruno Fernandes are expected to be in front again. With possible Eriksen and possibly Casemiro, because unfortunately, Mainu is going to still be out, which will hurt that midfield of theirs.
So that's West Ham versus United. I think there's not much interest. I think somewhere before this, people thinking about Bowen, but he's not so consistent. So I'm not sure whether you're going to bring any West Ham United asset in. Same goes for United, but there's some people thinking about Garnacho. He has been decent for Manchester United, especially last week. Could he come into my mind? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Garnacho is, an Eric Ten Hag player. I mean, in the sense that clearly Ten Hag trusts him, and I think he's pretty much secured that starting lineup. Bruno, of course, the thing is he recorded an assist last weekend. So will he go on a run from here? I think there's still plenty of people who have held on to Bruno. If you check out the happening, also live stream happening right now, I think Andy, Let's Talk FPL, and we know he still has Bruno in his lineup. I remember that Big Man Baka also has Bruno, but I don't know if he's live streaming. But yeah, if you can see Bruno go on a run, the fixtures are not that bad either.
Yeah. So that's team for West Ham and United. Uh, let's go to the last game, the big one, Arsenal versus Liverpool. We know already about Arsenal situation, but what have been Arteta mentioning about his teaming? That's the most important thing.
Arsenal has said nothing of any substance. That Saka, Timber might be ready, they're doing some training on the grass, but it's unlikely. We're not sure. We'll see. We'll find out. So it really is very, very annoying and doesn't help us at all. Wait and see. Wait and see what the situation is. So even Calafiori, but I would argue that Calafiori is closer, I guess. His injury previously not so bad compared to the rest, so he could arguably come back very quickly. Other than that, that's it for Arsenal. So for Liverpool, Jota is going to miss the trip after he got, I think, was some torso rib injury that he picked up. The thing is, just earlier on, I mentioned how Arsenal were missing some key players. To be fair, Liverpool are also missing some key players. Alisson, especially, that's such a big loss. But to be fair, Kelleher is arguably might be the best second keeper in the Premier League at the moment. So yeah, I'm not too worried. But other than that, Chiesa and Bradley are doubts for Sunday's match. But of course, Chiesa being a doubt means that does help the fact that Salah will likely play 90 minutes in this match.
Yeah, I think Saliba suspension could disrupt Saka. I'm not sure whether he's going to play or not. The feeling, even in FPL right now, the status is like 25% chances of playing this week. We just won't know what this will mean, I think. But I actually read somewhere in Twitter, in BBC, that I shared also, that Saka is not spotted in the training ground, but here did mention about doing a bit of training. So bit means is he gonna fully fit by end of the week? I'm not sure if, let's say, if you had him last week and you suffer and you not have anyone decent to come in, and after this Arsenal also have some tough run, so maybe it's just a nice reason for you to move before getting him back at 12. Maybe that could be the thinking right now. For Liverpool, I think Nunes should play, right? I mean, with Jota missing, but I'm not sure about the situation about Diaz and Gakpo on left. I really don't know what to call that.
Oh, okay. I'm confident that Diaz will start on the left. I think there's no, because he was benched last week, which was just after the international break, and then when he was traveling from South America. And I think slot was better than this time. Okay, let's give him a break. So Diaz will start. It's just a question who starts up top, and from the looks of it could really be Nunes. Yeah, I think he might be better here, and we need his height to help combat the likes of Gabriel, because if Saka is out, then they may want to focus on set pieces. Although to be fair, with Saka out, the quality of set pieces might suffer a bit. Yeah, but I do think Nunes is the most likely candidate to start this match.
Yeah. Brandon, you mentioned Arsenal hardly got any creative player without Saka and Odegaard playing, so that definitely disrupt the team. Saliba also going to suspend one match, if I'm right, so it's not that bad. And if Gamer did mention what's the score prediction for Arsenal against Liverpool, quick one from BBC, predicting Liverpool to win 1-0. So with that situation, so if you still have any Liverpool defense on that odds looks good if let's say to maintain. But definitely it will be a low scoring game. Min, what do you think?
I think it was going to be a goal scoring thriller, even without Saka and Odegaard. No, not really. Okay, the thing with Arsenal, we historically, Arteta is a bit more pragmatic. Yeah, and I think that um, I did wonder about it in Twitter, and I think a former guest of ours, TCK, Chen Kiat, has did highlight the fact that Arsenal, when in certain situations they do bunker down and do go defensive, in terms of and try to score the counter, and that has been shown in previous in some matches where they're having issues. So they could do the same against Liverpool. So the question is, are Liverpool good enough to stop to not let them stop them? And I'm going to be biased here and say that Liverpool should be able to overcome that, because it's just that if Saka is not, even if Saka plays, he may not be optimal, and the absence of Saliba, I feel, is quite important there as well. So I do think Liverpool will win this one, but it might be more narrow, like a 1-2 victory.
Interesting. Budak FPL mentioned about fun fact, Liverpool never failed to score against Arsenal since 2015. I'm not sure whether that's right, but if there's it, then it would definitely be good for Liverpool side. Yeah.
Thanks for finding out.
All right, we covered all in term team news. We know about situation for Saka. We know about Son, especially on Spurs, and the rest, especially on the Man City side. I forgot what about Man City. You mentioned about Walker who injured. This could increase more likely time for uh, Rico Lewis. If people thinking about that, I think I heard also from other content creators mention that. So maybe that is something that people thinking. But I think Guardiola, it could be the one that people are looking at, because that is what after that 10-pointer last week, right, man? So let's go to the transfer traffic for Gameweek 9. As you can see, okay, Mr. Mbomo at number 1, no surprise with the fixture against Ipswich. Right now, I think at a point, Son is number 1, then Guardiola, but now Mbomo coming in number 1. So Guardiola at second, 10 points last week. Man City are really having decent fixture coming up. With Guardiola already pop up 2 goals this season so far. Is at 6 million or 5.9 is really decent if you're thinking you can afford the likes of TAA. Son transfer in before that latest news. So people will stop getting in Son now. But Palmer at 4th, and then Raul Jimenez, you mentioned about those players just now in the top 5 list, transfer in for this week. Out for top transfer, no surprise, Saka and Saliba. Saka out, Saliba suspended. Then Luis Diaz also not starting last week again. And then Havertz, because after fixture, after that 3 decent game weeks, now they have some really difficult match coming up, and then Jota who gonna miss this week. So no surprise there, I think. So what do you make on this transfer traffic, man?
Son being transferred in now is, I think that many people, trying to transfer in early without finding out about that news. So again, another lesson for those who try to transfer too early. The rest are pretty much understand. I'm quite pleased to see Raul there, squeeze in at number 5, and I think people have finally started to buy into the concept of Fulham actually being a good team at the moment. So Mbeumo, Guardiola, no surprises. The transfers out, Saliba suspended, Jota hurt. So the fact that 3 Arsenal players are there, that just goes to show that a lot of issues now. But Diaz shouldn't be there. Sure, he was benched last week, but I think that was wrong. You shouldn't have benched. You shouldn't have sold him out, because he's definitely gonna start this week.
Right, that's bold statement, but people like me who already have that 2 bench from Diaz have a different feeling. All right. That's a transfer fee. If you're thinking about this player, then this is what people are making, and you can take this as a guide whether you should get these players in, because this is what people are doing right now. Okay. Quickly we touch on best Saka replacement. I know it's uncertain, but people are looking at, and we can also touch on Son replacement if we can, if let's say you're thinking about that. But for Saka perspective, we already touched the next 4 game weeks. Liverpool do this week, then away back to Newcastle and Chelsea, and then home to Forest, which after that game week 12 they have decent fixture back, running back. So for Saka, 29% manager were thinking what he need to do with that. So I just take from the FPL side in terms of goal threat, top midfielder, and also creativity. Both has Palmer as number 1. Goal 6, big chances 8, shot in the box 16, and in terms of creativity, he has the most big chances created there, and also big chance involvement. So I think Palmer is no question. If you can tell from these stats, he should be number 1 to get him in. And after that Liverpool game, and after that Newcastle, and then next week Manchester, I do feel he could return in any game, and he could actually return against Liverpool last week, right, Min?
Yeah, he could, but he didn't. Sorry, but yeah. I mean, Palmer is looking really good now, and because you're also looking at figuring out which are the more players who are likely to haul, and Palmer has already hauled twice this season, so I can see people rushing to bring him after the Liverpool match was over, and I expect that traffic to build up even more so. But for the price point, it is just Palmer is the only real version, because for Salah, you need to actually top it up a bit more in terms of funds. And the only part, and the reason why Salah is third and not higher, is just the fact that Liverpool's fixtures aren't looking great at the moment. Yeah, but of course, arguably, Saka, Salah, Palmer are theoretically players who can score against anyone. I stopped short of putting Haaland in, because by right Haaland should be in that same category, but we've seen the last 3 matches where he hasn't scored, so I'm a bit skeptical on that one. But anyway, yeah, I pretty much agree with those top 3 in terms of the actual people to replace Saka. But again, it shouldn't stop you from transferring a lower value like Mbeumo. No harm at all. It just depends on whether or not you, from there on, you want to adjust your structure, team structure by then, or just not you make any use of the extra funds and wait until you can buy back a premium player with the likes of Son and Palmer in the future, rather than spending the excess money.
I think people also talk about Salah, because Salah consistent with delivering points. Salah in terms of goal threat at third, but Salah integrity at second. So Salah should be in the conversation. I think if you're on wildcard, maybe you definitely try to fit in Palmer, Salah, and Haaland. Do you feel that is feasible, mate?
Yes, it's definitely feasible, but you are sacrificing a lot of mid-tier strong players like the likes of Mbeumo. It might be really hard for you to fit in Mbeumo, and even TAA should will not be there won't be a place for TAA. There may not be place for the likes of Havertz, even Solanke. These are players that you could, because if you do try to fit them in together with those 3, you're gonna have a lot of 4.5ers and 5.0s in your lineup. You're not gonna have much space. So
yeah, I think this is what we just want to tell about Saka replacement. I think number 1 is, in terms of stat, Palmer, with Son also down. And unless you want to go to any Man City midfielder, the likes of Foden, it could be a risk, but it could be rewarded, especially, and nice entry point this week against Southampton. That could be a potential too. Right. What else we have? Captaincy, man. For game week 9, people are voting Haaland, no surprise, at home against Southampton, 61%. Voters pick Haaland, then second Bomo against Ipswich. Not a bad shout. Let me mention Palmer also home to Newcastle, but a tougher opponent in the form of Newcastle. Wood in fourth and Watkins. No Salah inside here. So I think Haaland made no no com in terms of that could be the best captaincy for this week. You did mention about that, right?
Yeah, it really is a case of playing safe. Which is probably why I've captained Haaland. I'm just not that brave enough to go against the grain, despite the fact Haaland has now blanked 3 matches in a row. And no KDB, no Rodri seems to be hurting. But City are bare bones, in a way they have a bit bare bones in terms of the quality personnel available at the moment. But we're playing against Southampton, and one even though I'm not gonna triple captain Haaland, but the sound bites coming out of the Southampton management isn't that great. In the last conference, the last press conference, the manager has taken to start blaming or name checking players who didn't who didn't perform up to their expected performance. So it's a bit worrying in that sense, and it's like a red flag in terms of what's going on there. And has his team lost has he lost the players already? So that, and for me it nullifies enough in terms of City's own shortcomings, and which is why I still think Haaland is probably the best captain for this week.
All right, no surprise. I think people are trying to ask about Haaland triple captaincy. Even Brandon mentioned triple captain Haaland. Let's go. Let's just take a look at the odds interval goals and clean sheet before we jump to a conclusion. This is from Rob TFPL data from SpreadX. As you can see here, in terms of projected goal and clean sheet odds, Man City has the highest to score 3.35 with a potential clean sheet at 50%. Both are the highest for Man City at home against Southampton. The next one nearest 2.15 for Brighton at home against Wolves in terms of goals. Next would be 2.10 there for Chelsea against Newcastle, and then 2.0 goals for Brentford. I think that is the obvious one in terms of top scoring team for this week. In terms of clean sheet, Man City, the next 32% for Brentford and Brighton to keep a clean sheet this week. And after that, not so much, maybe Villa. But Arsenal and Liverpool, I expected to score 1.5, 1.33. Arsenal have the upper hand a bit, but surely there will be a low scoring game. So, Bin, in terms of stats, Man City, the highest to score goals and to keep a clean sheet, man.
Yep. So yeah, that just goes to show. Now, data is from SpreadX. I just want to point out that we're just using the data for FPL. SpreadX we do not condone any gambling. So it really is about trying your best to score well in your FPL. But yeah, so the in terms of the probabilities, based on Southampton's situation and City's situation, City still trumps big time. The gap, 3.35, 50%, 4% in terms of CS chances. Southampton have the worst chances for CS, and City have the best percentage of getting a CS and scoring goals as well. So it's just a big combo. And in a way, there are two decisions there with regards to City, with the one, whether or not you triple captain Haaland, and two, whether or not you bring in Foden, because especially just now you mentioned those with Saka, because there's still plenty of managers who have held on to Saka, so maybe you want to sell him for Foden, and now Son is also unlikely to make the grade. If you not patient enough to wait and decide to want to sell him back, then Foden becomes an option here. So the only thing is we don't know if Foden will start, and I think he will start. I think there's just not with Grealish out, Doku out, so you got to start.
Sense, right?
If I see him, I see Sadi, even though Nunes has performed well in midweek, if I suddenly see Nunes there and Foden still on the bench, I don't know what to say. But at the end of the day, this is Pep we're talking about, and this has happened before. So let's not stop.
Let's go to in terms of goal scorer, for this week with the already touched by the team. Haaland is the highest in terms of expected goals this week, 1.36. And if I may recall, I think this also same when game week 2 when he faced Ipswich, 1.36, where he ended up scoring hat-trick. So next will be Palmer, 0.65, and then Bomo at third, 0.61, and the rest of the player. So Haaland clearly on top. He expected to score 1.3 goals, could be 2 goals this week, could be a hat-trick against Southampton. And Rakan FPL mentioned about, let's go, 5-0, be humble, yeah? So, man, is it logical to do triple captain this week, man?
There's a lot of things going for it, and I can definitely see Haaland's returns. But at the same time, I can't triple captain for a reason I shall explain later. But at the end of the day, Haaland it is definitely possible. But I'm still looking at possible double game weeks and the fact that we shouldn't be thinking that only Haaland's worthy of that triple captaincy, because there's still plenty of good matchups going, not just involving Haaland, but involving Salah and especially Palmer, because so far the biggest hauls Palmer is currently, he's the one with the biggest haul at the moment, not Haaland. So I think there's a lot of potential there. So for me, I wouldn't triple captain him at this point.
I mean, people who thinking about triple captain this week, I think I followed Pras. He mentioned about FPL Wire. You do not know what's going to happen in future. Understand? You could potentially captain against Southampton, Leicester, or even the Leicester Ipswich later in the game, in the season. I can see about Salah playing Southampton, Ipswich somewhere, game week 20 plus, Palmer somewhere there. But we don't know what's going to happen in future. We know situation Southampton right now. Maybe after later in season, Southampton could replace manager and play differently. We don't know what's going to happen. But now we know how Southampton play. They are expected to concede goals. They Haaland also, potentially he can score big. He already done that brace in midweek. So if you're feeling about it, and Pras mentioned double game week will be slightly lower this week. Only 2 expected, somewhere 29 and plus, which you might actually play those bench boost chip or even the mystery chip. You just don't know what's going to be. So that could be a reason if let's say you're thinking about it. We hope for the best. I think if you score 2 goals, maybe you should be satisfied. It doesn't necessarily need to be a hat-trick. 13 points from Haaland, triple then from there, maybe that's good enough.
So the popular benchmark for the triple captaincy so far has been Haaland at game week 2 against Ipswich, which was 2 goals and assists. Yeah, although Palmer did haul against Wolves last time with, I think it was 25 points or something.
But against Brighton, if I'm right.
Brighton was it? Brighton. That's right. Yeah, but not many people captained him there, and the reason for that was simply because very little captained him there, because Brighton at the time they hadn't lost yet at the time. Yeah, they was one of the top 6 sides, I think. So yeah. I guess you could say that in this case, the argument is that you're looking at fixture over form for this particular instance. Whereas most of the time we're looking at form over fixtures. It doesn't matter how well you do. It doesn't matter the fixtures, because if he's doing well, he'll keep doing well. But in this case, it is a case of fixtures over form.
Yeah.
If you go for Haaland.
Yeah. Joshua, you mentioned too many chips this season and too little possible Damien game week. He wants to try best single game week this future. Go for it, bro.
Yeah, I guess so. But I do think there's a lot of Met weather experts out there saying that there may be disruptions, El Nino disruptions. But yeah, you're absolutely right. There's many chips, and remember there's still this mystery chip that's gonna happen in January. We still don't know what that is. So yeah, if you're feeling it, as per what Laterizer keeps saying, if you're feeling it, then go for it.
All right, man. I think let's go to our team, or maybe you want to show your wildcard first, but I'll just show my team first, yeah? All right.
Yeah, show your team first.
Okay. So for my team, as you can see there, I have 3 free transfer and 0.7 million in the bank. We have half an hour more, man, before the deadline.
Yeah,
just to remind everyone, because I haven't made my move, but I can share my thoughts here. My team is Flecken in goal, Rico Luis, Gabriel and TA at this juncture. Mbomo, Saka, Rogers and Luis Diaz, Haaland, Havertz and TCL. On my bench, Fabianski, Semenyo, Mykolenko and Greaves injured. So potentially what I'm going to do, it looks like I'm going to follow the Palmer for more. And by looking, I might be biased, but by looking Chelsea playing and then you don't have any Chelsea asset feels a bit not the greatest. I feel I want to have enjoy the points if I say Chelsea get, and most likely Palmer will be in the goal involvement. So Palmer should be in. Means I feel Diaz need to go. That's my feeling. Havertz will go. So Palmer and Luis Diaz and Havertz will go for Palmer and Raul Jimenez. I just have enough money for these two transfer. And then I will deal about Saka. I'm not sure what we'll do about Saka. I could just play him, and if it's not featured, then Semenyo come in. But could this potentially, I'm bringing someone who is low ownership, who is facing Southampton, who also has potentially start this game week because Doku and Grealish will not play this week. Could Foden be the one to come in 9.3 million, slightly lower than 10%? So that's my thinking, because Son is not available. If not, he should be in, but I think that my thinking for now. The other option is to bring in Watkins and Johnson and Palmer as the 3 transfer in, but I'm not sure about that one. That also can be a decent change. What do you think, man?
Sorry. The third one is Watkins, Palmer, and
Johnson from Spurs
versus Raul, Palmer, and
Foden probably.
Raul, Palmer, and Foden.
Because I also need to take into account I have 4.7 million right now. Sometimes I just need to chase some potential big points at which people are not having.
I guess I prefer the one without Watkins a bit more, simply because Watkins' fixtures are looking a bit more tougher. They play Bournemouth, Spurs, and Liverpool. So none of these 3 sides are easy to beat. So yeah, I go for the other option, which has Palmer, Foden, and Raul.
Yeah. Maybe that's what I'm thinking right now. But later I'll do my transfer. Maybe we have a look at your wildcard team, because people might think about wildcard this week and what should be their team, right?
Sure. Okay, so let me share my wildcard. Hang on. Just give me a minute to adjust. Has my camera hanged or something?
Yeah, I think so. But we can hear your voice. That's what you want to think.
Okay, never mind. So let me share my screen. Okay. to check. I have to check on my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so first thing, which is a bit of a surprise, I'm punting for Jose Sa to get the start against Brighton. I feel that he's done
Wow.
enough. But at the same time, look at my bench. It is Cells, who I have as my keeper. So if I'm wrong about Sa, then Cells comes in. So it's no big issue because Cells is a good keeper anyway. It does mean I'm spending a bit more, 0.3 more to have Sa. So I'm just going to have to bear with that. That one's fine. Then I have brought in Guardiol to the lineup together with Alt Nuri and Justin. So Justin, who I feel is a good purchase long term, and of course he's cheap, but he can rotate accordingly. I just looking at starting him because Forest have had a shorter rest period, and Leicester have this ability to score, and hopefully it'll be Justin, because Forest tend to defend deep, and I feel there's going to be quite a few long range shots, and one of those players gonna do that is Justin. So I brought in Johnson, and I guess in the absence of Son, I think he becomes even more confirmed in my lineup. But Johnson has been doing well, although he blanked last week, but stats are good. Rogers continues to stay in my lineup together with M. Salah and McNeil, three players who continue to stay in my lineup. I brought in Mbuemo. That Ipswich was just too irresistible. So yeah. So just to confirm, yes, this is my wildcard team. I have actually wildcarded. I've brought in Cunha, and Haaland continues to be, and as you can see, Haaland is my captain. So my bench has Cells, which I mentioned, so Raul, Robinson, and Gabriel. So this is the problem I'm currently having with regards to my bench, as in who do I bench? And it is a tough one. I can't figure it out. Who to bench?
It's gonna be tough.
It's a really tough one, and and here I am recommending you go for Raul, but I'm benching him as my first bench. Yeah, it's a tough one, but I do trying to figure out whether Everton have really solidified up, and if I do bench Raul, if I do play Raul, who in the front seven do I bench? So if you look at that, it's really hard. Johnson, I can't see myself benching him against Palace, who are horrible. Rogers, obviously Bournemouth is a tough matchup. Rogers has done so well for me, and Villa look really good. Mbuemo, definitely not against Ipswich. Salah. So the only options realistically, if I wanted to bench him, will be either Cunha or McNeil. So, and McNeil, Fulham are tough as well, but Everton are playing at home. So what about Cunha? Cunha is the one guy, he's playing away. To be fair, form is not on his side, so he hasn't, got a lot of goals yet. And he is playing away. But the problem is that we're looking for the case of Wolves really starting to push back. Cunha still has 3 goals so far, so not that bad. But Raul's record is better. So, but both are playing away, so it's not that easy for me to figure this out.
But I just comment first. I think you decided that Cells and Jose Sa, although I might not comfortable about Jose Sa, but you have a replacement just in case he does not start. And you triple up on Wolves, I said, and the fixture are nice after this, especially even though away to Brighton. Then after that, they play Crystal Palace, Southampton, Fulham, Bournemouth, so they have decent fixture coming up. I like Nuri. There's no about that. 4.4 million right now, if I'm right. Okay.
4.5 now.
4.5 now. Okay. I like Guardiola. I just after that 2 goals when I ditched him, when I had him early season, doesn't do anything to me. I like Guardiola. I won't deny that. Robinson, Justin, you can just rotate. Gabriel is there as Arsenal defense. Later, if let's say you need, I think so. You have Guardiola and Gabriel as your main premium defender, which I like. I like Johnson. I like Joe Rogers. I have no doubt about Salah, Mbomo. I have McNeil, Everton still on top of the ticker. You have bench dilemma. I'm not sure about Cunha. Okay, Cunha 6.5 million. Going triple to Wolves. I'm not sure, but if you're keen on that. But I was just thinking, since you're wildcarding this week, you have opportunity to get really, who knows, hype on this week. I'm not sure about Wisa situation. If you feel Wisa starting, maybe he's a not bad shout at home against Ipswich, 5.9 million. And who knows, he scored big against Ipswich. We already know about Ipswich depleted right now. And later on, if Wisa is not the right one, you can just sub him out or transfer him out and go for other striker. So I like Raul Jimenez. So you have him in your side. So
I guess it's a question of, even though I do have Brent Mbeumo in, but I like Wolves fixtures more. So which is why I've gone for Cunha instead of Wisa, because Brentford do play Ipswich this week, sure, but after that is Fulham and Bournemouth and Everton, who have been really much better in recent week, are stronger. So that's mainly right. So yeah, I did consider Wisa, but because Wisa is also just coming back, and I don't like Brentford's current potential at the moment.
Okay, man, can you just show a bit your team back?
Oh, what's he showing now?
Scroll up a bit.
Oh, okay, hang on.
So means you have the premium Salah and Haaland.
Sorry.
And looks like this Salah will be your mainstay. Do you think the likes of Palmer and Saka could come in later to your team, or that will not be an option at this?
Saka, no. Palmer, yes. I am charting a route to return to get back to Palmer, and it will be at the expense of Mbeumo. Yeah, but of course that alone is not enough. I do need funds elsewhere. But definitely I am eyeing Palmer. When I built this team, I am looking at a structure that will eventually bring in Palmer at the very least in game week 12. So yep.
All right. I think that's my only comment. And FPL mentioned about Visa, but it is up to you how you feel, because Visa, we are not certain whether he's going to start, but the feeling is he might start, and he could be the nice entry point for this week.
20 minutes.
Wow, 30 minutes. Okay. All right. So at least your team are going to finalize, right, man? Do you still thinking of doing any changes?
It's just the bench. You know how I mentioned how after Gabriel hauled in 1 week, and then I put him in the next week, even though it was a tough matchup. So I'm still wondering, is Gabriel worth it to just stick him in the lineup regardless, for maybe Justin, if I think Gabriel might still manage to score a goal against Liverpool. That's the only thing I'm still trying to figure out.
Okay. While you're thinking, figure out, you take some question. I can see some questions.
Yeah,
right?
Let's go. Questions.
Let me check. There's some. Yeah. I like this one. Brandon on the mention Damien is a better option for Everton. He's really cheap, 5 million plus over DCL. He could potentially the right option for Everton instead of DCL, although DCL has recorded better XG. So, Min, what do you think?
Can I just say I don't like DCL? He's just been too disappointing, and it just doesn't make sense for me that if I was in your shoes, I would have lost patience. So yeah, I mean, I'll definitely look at Ndiaye as a better option if I still want Everton. But if you were to ask me, I feel I do already have the best Everton attack option, which is McNeil.
Yeah, I think I concur with that. Brandon on just mentioned he already locked his transfer. Semenyo and Son. He has Son to Bonanote, man. You mentioned about him and Palmer. He already get Palmer in, and he's gonna triple Captain Haaland this week.
I got to endorse your movements. It's something that I would like to make myself, but I'm obviously I didn't because I am not don't want Palmer in so soon. But if you're confident in Palmer, then yeah, that Buonanotte Palmer partnership looks good. TC Allen, I'm not so confident there. So, but I do feel there are better options later. But yeah.
Zamzuri did mention about who is the main player that may be benched this week. I'm not sure about main player. What do you think, me?
I can't think of any, to be honest.
Main player like Foden, is it?
Yeah, but is he a main player though? So, I don't know. That's it.
When player means main player like Salah, Haaland, is it Palmer, Saka?
Anyone who we've seen to be confirmed starters and regular starters, those are for me those are considered main players. So the thing is, Foden hasn't established that this season to be a main player. So I guess there's an issue. Could Guardiola be benched? I don't think so, but yeah, it's Pep, so that's for me that is possible. So you have to have a backup plan.
Leopold asked about Johnson or Kovacic. I think Brandon Johnson is definitely the one because he's in terms of shots is higher than Kovacic. Although
Leopold, I think, yeah, I do think Johnson long term is the better pick. And look, let's face it, you probably want to leave your City options open just in case you want to go real triple up and they really start going. And Kovacic might not be the best player for City triple up.
Omar mentioned about Palmer or Foden captain. Wow, I Foden has potential big score against Southampton, but Palmer more dependable, right?
As much as I like Palmer, I would still go for the Foden cap purely on the matchup for this week. Yeah. But you have to be confident of Foden starting, by God.
Yeah, we expect Foden to start, right? How much do you like Savio Min? I'm not sure.
Well, the problem is he's not scoring goals, which I feel he needs to. So no, I don't really like him. It's not good enough for me.
Budak FPL asked Gabriel and Saka out. Gabriel because he doesn't have same Saliba support in Palmer and a 5.5 million defender. He has that 5.5 million to decide whether to bring in Poro, RAN, or Aina. I like Anuri, man.
Yeah, I think is quite alright. Palmer, Poro, Run, or Aina. If I had to choose between the two, I'd probably go for Run for the explosiveness.
Right. Rakan FPL mentioned Foden as a punt. I'm thinking about it.
It's a punt. For me, it's a punt. But if Pep still doesn't start him this week, then I'm giving up on picking non-Haaland City assets. Although I already had Gabriel, but yeah, no other attacker.
I also think about that. I mean, if you picking Foden, you just need to leave and being hurt if let's say Pep decide not to play him. That's all.
Okay.
Right.
That's it, right?
Yep.
So let's wrap this up. Okay, so obviously because we stream from Malaysia, so we are not likely to have in the know option links. So people who might be leaking lineups. So I think we should let people loose and try to finalize your teams.
Yeah, Budak FPL did mention about 40 minutes. So I think we're going to conclude our streaming. But let me do this, live my transfer. I'm going to make my transfer now.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't know whether people can see this.
You can't see anything at the moment.
Share screen. Woohoo! I hope people can see this. Man, can you see?
I can see. Yeah.
I just how.
What is it? What's it gonna be?
Right, I have 0.7 million, as you can see there. I think I'm gonna lose Diaz for sure. Like I mentioned about that, Howard's also there, so I'm gonna bring in Palmer, head player there, and also forward select replacement in the form of Rahul. Hope we don't curse him, mate, because he already scored so many goals till now. Hopefully away to Everton if I bring him around. So I just had enough money, for him, and I'm thinking about Saka also on.
Can you get Palmer in and not sell Diaz and sell Saka instead? I'm sorry. Never mind. Carry on.
If I so Diaz for that, okay. I'm not sure whether Diaz or Saka. I do definitely have money and leave Diaz, right?
Yeah.
But Diaz has disappointed me, man. So I'm hurt.
Fair
by
enough.
him.
Fair enough. That's okay. You still have DCL there to help fill you up on that point.
That's why. Why I cannot see his name?
Cepat.
Select replacement. Wow, I don't have. Why I cannot see Foden name?
Huh?
Yes.
No.
Foden.
Yeah. Okay.
So I have 0.8 million in the bank. I have Foden, Palmer, and Raul coming in. I'm feeling.
So you benching Semenyo or
let me do my transfer first. Wow, complete my transfer. Done.
Right.
So then I'm gonna bench Semenyo. And Palmer as my vice captain. Yup. It's my team. Flecken, TAA, Luis, Gabriel. I'm going to play Gabriel over Michaelenko. You just never know. Gabriel can score in the big game. Palmer, Mbomo, Rogers, Foden, Rahul. This year I will play against Rahul this week. So I'm going to play both.
Yeah, and I guess you bench Michaelenko on the assumption that because you also starting Rahul, that Rahul will score, right?
Yeah, that's why. And if let's say Luis gone missing, then at least Michaelenko can come in.
Yeah.
So cool. That's my. If let's say Rico Luis not being played, right? You just never know about Pep.
You don't know.
So I have already made my move, everyone. Okay, man, that's all the stream for this week.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened to my camera. I'll have to look at that. But yeah, quickly do it now. Don't wait till like the last 5 minutes. I really don't think you should wait because you never know if the site, when so much traffic going on at the same time, there might be issues. So do what Hafiz did and just get those transfers done. So all the best, and we'll see you on the other side.
Right. Good luck to everyone. Thank you for joining the stream. Do hit the like button and subscribe to our FPL Jedi YouTube channel. Do whatever you think. If you think it is time for Triple Captain Highland, do it and leave without any more regrets. So take care. May the force be with you this week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.